Today we've got a great story from the one-time dean of American Magicians, Howard Thurston, and a rather embarrassing admission from yours truly. Hi, and welcome to the Magician's Bookshelf. My name is Ed Fairman. I've been a professional magician for the last 20 years. I'm currently rereading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie and trying to summarize the chapters and find the best advice within the book that we can use to make our magic businesses better in the 21st century. So let's get started. Anyone who's ever watched video of themselves knows that it can be a rather difficult process. And in rewatching the first few videos from the series, I realized that I might be rushing this a bit too much. Just in order to keep the videos brief, I might be going a bit too fast. So this video might be a bit longer. It's going to come in over 10, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to try and chop it up into bits. They call them chapters here on YouTube so that you can skip ahead if you'd like. The edition that I have divides the first 3 chapters into part 1. So we're going to do a quick little recap of the first part of How to Win Friends and Influence People. If I were to summarize the first part as quickly as possible in the modern parlance, I would say, number 1, don't be a jerk. Like literally, be nice to your clients and prospective clients and other people, because other people are prospective clients. Number 2 is to sell the benefits of your offering. I'm trying to remember the first time I encountered this advice, and if it was in a particular book. I did a quick Google search, but I couldn't find an original text for this idea. But there are tons of free articles, videos, and more on selling benefits as opposed to features. And if you're not sure what features and benefits of your product or service are, you can do a Google search for that also. That's Selling Fundamentals, and trust me, it's all fundamentals. Number 3 is to be enthusiastic about your offering. If you don't like what you're selling, no one else will either. No one wants to do business with the sad, angry guy. I say this from 100% personal experience. And this is where I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second. If you're like me and you're selling directly to the consumer, i.e. the person planning the event, there's a very good chance that they've never done this before. You're the professional, even if you've only done it once before. You might have done it one more time than them. So they're going to do and say and ask weird things that might be annoying or repetitive, but they're just trying to do their due diligence. This is not a professional. This is a person that's a parent or a friend or of the guest of honor or a coworker who's been assigned to find the entertainment for the event. These people, in their ignorance of the ways things are often done, can come across as annoying. If you get annoyed, it's because you know what you're doing when it comes to doing magic, but they don't know what they're doing, and it's not their fault. Your job is to educate them as to the easiest, best, and most beneficial way for them to book what they want at your event. Notice I didn't say for them to book you at their event. You might not be the right choice for this event. Or worse, this event might not be a good choice for you. You are a solutions provider. Provide the right solution to your client, whether this is you or not. And don't get annoyed with them if they ask the same question 100 times. They're just trying to do their due diligence. Carnegie more specifically says to create in your prospective client a desire for the offering. That can also mean to me to not just be enthusiastic about what you're selling, but to create an offer or a product or a service that actually fulfills a need the client has. Your job as a salesman is to make them recognize that need and then show them how your offering fits that need. All right, on to chapter 4, or in my book, part 2, chapter 1. Any of the formatting stuff I mentioned is just specific to the edition of the book I'm reading. Yours might be laid out differently. I'm sure it probably is. Basically, chapter 4 begins part 2. Part 2 is called 6 Ways to Make People Like You. I'm going to guess ahead a little bit and say it's probably just one way to make people like you, and that's don't be a jerk, and him just saying it 6 different ways. But I'm surmising. I'm getting ahead of myself. Regardless, this chapter is titled Do This and You'll Be Welcome Anywhere. Dale goes on to tell us that we should look to the family dog as an example of how to get people to like you. He then makes a very erroneous statement that the dog is the only animal that doesn't work for a living. A hen has to lay eggs, a cow has to give milk, and a canary has to sing. But a dog makes his living by giving you nothing but love. Dale, dude, did you forget that you lived on a farm? And just because the dog enjoys what he's doing, and trust me, we've selectively bred them so that they enjoy what they're doing, doesn't mean he's not working. Protecting livestock, keeping strangers at bay. I mean, even the pea marks in the yard will keep some people away. And being just sort of a general alarm system for the whole home is the dog's work. And just because he enjoys it doesn't mean it's not work. It's like Dale has fallen into that bad old trope of if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Let me tell you, I love my job. I get paid to pretend to have superpowers and then tell questionable dad jokes, but it's still a job with work. The one thing we have to do to get people to like us is be interested in them. It's the same piece of advice that you often hear sort of as 2 ears, 1 mouth, listen more, talk less, all that sort of stuff. Especially in sales, listening for problems and pain points that you need to solve and then listening for possible future objections to your offer are great ways to get ahead in the sales process. Dale then cites an incredibly unscientific study of 500 telephone conversations and found that the word I was used 3,900 times. There's absolutely no mention as to who is making these telephone conversations, why they were making these telephone conversations. I mean, if they were doing a scientific study of calls into a suicide prevention hotline, I bet the number one word is going to be I. The basic point here is that people don't care about you. They only care about themselves. There's a great little bit in here about cross-training. Dale mentions taking a course on short story writing, and I would absolutely 100% recommend that you, as a performer or a wannabe performer, take classes like short story writing or composition or playwriting. Also, acting, improv, all of those things. You can learn all the magic tricks you want, but if you perform them poorly, no one will care. Now we get a story from Howard Thurston. Dale mentions Thurston's accolades of performing on Broadway in front of heads of state and for famous people, and mentions that up until this point in his career, Thurston had made $2 million in profit. Boy, things have changed. When Dale asked Thurston why he is particularly so successful, was it his superior knowledge of magic? Thurston says, no, lots of people know more about magic than I do. There are tomes of books filled with more magic knowledge than I'll ever possess. Dale tells us that Thurston could do two things very well. One, he was a master showman. He was great at his choreography and he hit his marks. And he also had a great personality that he could convey to the audience. Thurston says his secret is that he really, truly likes his audience. He says that many magicians actually disdain their audiences and see them as a bunch of rubes to be tricked. And if you've paid attention to social media magic ever, you'd see a lot of people think that way. If you've ever performed a magic trick and gotten a good reaction, you know that addictive power of the reaction. And the only way you're going to get that is to have an audience. And the way to keep your audience is for you to like them. Without an audience, it's just like this video of me talking to the camera and absolutely no one watching it. So please, be good to your audience. Start your show on time. If you're not doing a show and you're I'm just going to do one trick, then just do one trick. If you say, I'll do 3 or 4 tricks for you guys, then do 3 or 4 tricks. But don't beat them into submission with magic tricks. Make sure you use words and language and idioms and turns of phrase that your audience will understand and appreciate. Let's say don't go to a high-minded event and use low language, or don't go down to the pub and show your friends a trick and do it all in Shakespearean English. Unless, of course, that's your character and it's a Shakespearean pub and you've gone back in time. Dale then spends the next several pages telling stories about famous people who are nice or interested in other people and how it helped them. One story being about a salesman who was nice to a frontline employee. If you're a salesman and you go into any type of business and you are anything less than pleasant with the very first person you meet, be it the receptionist, doorman, frontline salesperson, that info is getting to the boss immediately after you leave. If you are rude in the establishment to anyone, that info is getting to the boss instantly. He then concludes the chapter by reiterating the principle of being genuinely interested in people. This is a subject that I am very enthusiastic about. I love asking my audience members, people I meet, about where they're from and where they grew up and what it was like growing up where they're from and like what are their dreams and what are their goals and what do they do for work or what do they find themselves doing during the day? What are they passionate about? I have a very narrow experience. I mean, I know my experience is kind of one of a kind. Not too many people have grown up in a very rural area of Pennsylvania and then moved to Chicago to become a full-time magician. There's maybe one other, I don't know, but I'm sure it's very few. So I know my thing. I know all about me. I'm good to hear. So I want to learn about them. And you can see the actual enthusiasm about it. And that's all you have to do. Just get interested in people. So get interested in other people if you aren't already and be nice to your audience. They're the ones that allow us to do this. I hope you've enjoyed this longer format. If you have or haven't enjoyed it, please let me know politely. Remember, don't be a jerk in the comments below. And check out the on-screen links for videos you may have missed or the next one in the series, which is a simple way to make a good first impression. Ooh, baby, let's just say it'll probably be a short video because much of that chapter is problematic, to say the least. Check it out.